Hey guys and gals, today's video is going to be about how to install a Harbor Freight 22 horsepower vertical shaft engine in a commercial mower. And I'm going to be your host, the Homestead Prepper, and this is going to be the mower that we're going to use, which I've already put it in there and you've seen it run, but this is a commercial mower. I bought it new in 2006. It was a pretty good mower until the engine blew up. I've got about 6 hours on this Harbor Freight motor, and guys, I got to tell you, I'm not being compensated by Harbor Freight in any way, but it works really good. It has a lot more power, which I think it has about 4 more horsepower than the Kohler did, and it's working pretty good. So I'm going to show you how I did it. Hey guys and gals, today's episode we're going to do an engine swap, repower on a 2006 Toro Z Master 0-turn mower. I've got a Harbor Freight 22 horsepower engine we're going to try and cram in there. This is the mower in question. It's got a 18 horsepower Kohler engine, and I guess I got about 450 hours out of it before the camshaft broke in half. So rather than, try and screw around with it and all that, I'm just going to put the other engine in there and see how that does. You can see this goes to the oil pressure switch. This looks like it goes to the alternator. And some other wires over here, I'm not sure what they go to. This is the throttle cable. I guess that's the choke. Just disconnect the gas. This is a wire that went bad on the mower some years ago, I guess about 4 years ago. And just disconnect these wires from the battery. And there might be another wire too. Now the smart thing to do would be to take a piece of tape, and you can wrap around there and you can write, oil. You can, wrap around these cables and label them, but I'm not going to do that because I never was that smart. So alright guys, I'm just going to pull it out, and if I get confused I'll just pull my ohmmeter out and I'll have to more than likely trace the wires out anyway. So let's get started. Alright, we'll just start by taking these throttle cables off here. Alright, and these, you just pull these out like that, and this one just comes out just like that, so that's easy. And then we got this little wire right here, the oil thing, and we remember that that's the green one. Alright, well let me get some more into it. Alright, I cut this white wire that went to there. It has that plug on it right there, so we can remember that. This just plugged into that right there. We pull that off, and you can see that the wiring has been adjusted, we will say, in the past. So we'll go ahead and just cut that. 14 millimeter. Alright, there we go. Just to disconnect this gas line right here. Oh, and guys, I did shut the gas off right there before I did that. Well, there's a ground wire right there, and then I almost forgot, so. Alright, it's going. Alright, I got it all unbolted. It's a matter of just trying to pull it out of here. How heavy this thing is going to be. It's pretty darn heavy. Alright, you need to watch out in case I drop this thing. Oh! Alright. One tired engine right there broke. And that bolt pattern is an exact match of the Harbor Freight engine. I want to also add that there are multiple bolt holes there. This is designed to fit many different applications. Okay, so just want to show that to you. It is rolling. Oh, this is a lot heavier. A lot heavier, a lot bigger. I don't even know if it's lined up. Alright, well, I'm going to have to play around with it a little bit. Looks like it needs some tweaking. Yeah, that's a good word. I like that. It needs to be tweaked. Alright, well, let's get to it. There it is, though. Alright, I don't want to tighten everything down all the way. I want to make sure there's no clearance problems. So, yeah, clearance there. And that's what I was worried about, the front of the engine hitting that bar right there. Well, all looks good. Well, one thing I say off the bat, these are not going to be long enough. These are going to have to be changed out. But the ground is going to work right there. Let's take that out. And we're going to put a little grease on it. If you don't put any grease on it, you're just asking for this stuff to fail on you, the connection, especially the ground. 10 millimeter. Okay, something else I see is this this right here is going to need a solenoid, so I'm going to need to, this does not come with a solenoid, so I'm going to pick one up and we'll put that in there. My dad volunteered to go find some longer cables. This was the original one, and this was the original choke cable, and they were both about, say, about 8 to 12 inches too short. So the choke cable he found is probably about a foot longer. That's going to work perfectly. And the throttle cable he found is probably about, I don't know, 18 inches longer. That's going to work too. That's better a little too long than too short. And I think he got them from some place called Pro Mower in Tampa on Broadway or 7th Avenue. And I think he paid about $33, $34 for these things. And it's going to make the job a lot easier instead of having to mount these and work in reverse and all that. The only difference is this handle fits through the cover and it unbolts. This one is kind of got like a rivet on there or something. So I'm going to have to drill that out, and then I'll probably just be able to take this bolt. You see how they are. Take this bolt off of here and that little thing and stick that on there, and I think that's going to work out. So let me get that drilled out. Alright, I got that through there like that, and I just need to put a bolt through there in that little catch. And this is a real pain in the butt to try and do this up on a ladder and try and film it, so y'all have to just I guess imagine how it was done. The hardest part is trying to hold the camera and do it. So okay, alright, put that on there, and it's just a matter of, I'm definitely going to need both. I'm not going to film this, but you can see those two bolts that go right there in those two slots. I just need to put that in there, and then that will be done. Alright, we just need to slide this choke cable through here. Again, guys, I apologize because I don't have a helper right now to hold this and see how this goes. I'm going to do it with my hand. Alright, that goes in there like that. I just need to slide the nut on. Now we got to route those cables. Just going to route them down right next to where those wires are. Let's push those out. Alright. What we gotta do is run them through that. We're gonna bolt them to that. Well, we've arrived at the point where we have to start doing the wiring, and I had a problem. I wasn't getting any power up to the switch, and there was none at the plug, and I looked at the fuse block, and the fuses were good, and what had happened is this wire had burned off right there, corroded off, so that's why I wasn't getting any power. So we're going to redo all that, and I know it looks confusing and messy, and I'm going to try and explain it the best I can, guys. If you go one wire at a time, it's really not that difficult, just common sense. But here's the harness. I know some people have reported that this plugs into their existing harness, but of course that's not going to work for me. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to hook all that up. That red wire right there that I've got my new fuse holder attached to comes from the wire that goes from the battery down to the start solenoid. You know, can't really see that over there. I'm probably going to move that too, but just going to try and attach this. I don't know if we got that on camera or not, but there, that gives power to there. And this red wire that I hooked it to, it goes up to that, and that's the start switch, and that feeds power to the PTO and the hour meter. So, alright, rather than just hooking everything up and making a spaghetti mess and confusing, I'm going to try and explain what I'm doing here. So I cut that plug off right there because, like I said, this mower doesn't have one, so we're going to get rid of that. You can see where the two red wires that were there are joined into one wire. That's a point of failure, so we're just going to cut that out. And the yellow wire has to have 12 volts to it, as does the red wire. The yellow volt, if it doesn't have voltage, the carburetor won't work. So you kill the voltage to that, it'll shut the engine down. The blue is the oil wire, which I think sends a ground out, and the black wire is the engine ground. So we're going to be grounding, well, I'll show you how I'm going to do that, but all we need to do is find the wire that energizes off of this switch, which is this little purple guy right here. Now if you're not sure what it is, and only half of my switch works, by the way, guys. So if you're not sure which one it is, you can take a voltmeter or a test light and turn the thing on, and when it lights up, you'll know that that's controlled by the switch. Alright, so we're going to hook this to those red and the yellow wires, and we'll get that hooked up. And that's going to send power to that when we turn the switch on. And then this needs, now there's no kill switch on this mower, I'm going to have to add one. But if I send a ground to this black wire off of that battery terminal right there, it's going to kill the engine. And I believe the oil wire, what it does is sends a ground up there, and that we'll tie those together and it'll kill the engine if it runs low on oil. Alright, well let's try and get that hooked up. I have to get a wire from the starter right there up to the solenoid, so we can either go buy one, or what we can do is we can come over here and we can just make our own. So that's what I'm going to do, guys. I just happen to have some number 2 copper on hand I pulled out of somewhere. I've got some copper 3/8 inch tubing that I use for air conditioning. So I've got a piece cut here. I've already got this stripped out, so when you have to ream that to get it to fit if it's tight, and we'll put that in there like that, and we'll just crimp it. Now we could solder it, but it's easier just to crimp it. If we crimp it really well, I think it's gonna work. We'll put another crimp. I think I have a video about how to make these. I'll try and leave it in the description. We'll crimp that, and maybe we'll put a crimp on it right there too. I mean, the proper crimping tool would be the way to go, but you know, I've got everything here on hand. All right, that's not going to pull off. And what we're going to do is we'll just flatten this. And I have my drill handy. We will just put a hole like right there. And voila, we have a lug ready to go. And then what we'll do is, so it doesn't look so ugly, we can cut that off. And we can cut that off. And if we wanted to, now guys, I made that a whole lot faster than I could run down to the parts store and pick up one of these things. And this is probably about 18 inches long, I'm guessing. So I just need to do the other end, but that's how we do it, and that's going to make a nice little lug. And the wire won't fit in there unless you ream that out. I guess while I'm at it, I already got that one done. Well, the proper way to strip this out is you don't take your pliers and go around it and rip it open. You take the insulation off like you're sharpening a pencil. That's the correct way, so you don't score it. I'm guessing that's about 1 inch. This is about 2 inches long, and that fits right in there. And we'll go ahead and crimp this one too. And guys, I failed to mention on the other one, I'll go back, but you can crimp it in 2 places like that, and that'll make it even better, because you left the wire longer. Now if you got a short wire in there, then of course you're only going to get 1 crimp on it. Alright, do the same thing over here. Drill a hole. And we'll go ahead and make it pretty too. There we go, guys. A homemade battery cable made in minutes. This is also useful for solar systems. You can make you know, any type of battery terminal. All right, well, there we go. All right, let's get it installed. And that's a 1/4-inch hole I had drilled, because that's a 1/4-inch bolt that comes out of there. Put this washer on here, a little lock nut, and what we're going to do with the bolt, there it is, I mean that crap. Alright, well, looks pretty good to me. All we need to do is put that there. There we go. Get that tightened up, and I think she's about ready to start. And I did go ahead and put the 2 quarts oil in it. It does not come with oil in it already, so make sure you put that oil in there. I removed the exhaust. It's really not that hard. It comes right off. To get at these throttle cables right here, now this one is the throttle, and that one, you can see, is the choke. So there's the throttle on that side, and like I said, this is the choke. Now if you hook these up backwards, it'll start up, it'll idle, and when you go to hit the throttle, it'll die, and when you pull up on the choke, it'll rev up a little bit. And you know, don't ask me how I know that, but it's real easy to get confused over here, guys. So you can pull on the choke, and that'll tell you that's what that one is. And like I said, on this 708 Predator vertical shaft, that's how it is. Alright, we have verified what goes to what, and this is a little clip that goes on here like that, and you just stick a bolt in there and tighten that up, and I'll get some tie wraps and tidy up those cables. Alright, let's get that bolt in there. Well, that sure looks like a rat's nest. Okay, well, it's nothing a couple tie wraps won't take care of. Alright, I of course replaced the fuses. I made sure I put the fuse in there too. And what we have is the power wire comes over, and that comes to my starter button. And I have that wire nutted here, and I'll put some tape on it, and that's in case I need to tap off of that for something else. You know, the wiring on the mower is about shot. I would advise y'all not to delete any safety things that are on the mower. But anyway, power comes in. It's tied to the start switch. The red wire, if you can see, that's the power end. The pink wire goes to the PTO, the hour meter. So when you turn it on, sends power over there. The purple wire is energized on this one when you hit the start switch, and I've got that tied to that red and yellow. That's the carb and the power in. Okay. The black and the blue wire, which I was able to find some black and blue wire, comes over here. And now this mower did not have a kill switch on it, so I put one on here. It's just an off and on switch. And the white wire, you can see, goes from here, it goes down to my solenoid, and then it falls over and it goes to the battery. And that's my ground, and that's when I need to energize the solenoid. And I already showed you the hot wire that goes up to the button over here. But I've tied the oil and the engine kill together, and this, when you turn it on, it sends a ground and it shuts the engine down, so that'll effectively kill it. Okay, I'm not saying this is all right, guys, but this is going to work for me. Okay, y'all do it your way, or if you have a better way, leave it in the comments. Okay, I'll get some tie wraps, clean that up, but for now, let's see if we can get this started. Put this back on here, and the battery's dead. We'll have to jump it. Alright, let's see if she'll start. Put the choke up and put that, say, about there. Alright, well, we'll call that a success. I'm going to put some more gas in the tank here, and I think you have to break it in for 3 hours. So, still got to put the drive pulley on there and the PTO. And she should be ready to go. And just, first I'm going to have to tie wrap some stuff around here. So, okay, well, there we go. A successful install. And I hope that helps somebody out. Alright guys, I just let it run for 3 hours. I went from like mid-throttle, idle for a little while, then kept it about mid-throttle. The break-in says to run it about 20 hours total, and then you change the oil, so that's what I'll do. Okay, well, we had a success, so it is running, and I've had experience with Harbor Freight engines before. And usually if they run for 3 hours, they're going to continue to run for quite a while after that. I want to bring up just one little thing. You're looking at the shaft there with the key in it. Is when you go to put the pulley back on, you want to use some of this stuff. We used to call it never seize back in the day, but this makes it so that shaft will come off a lot easier if you ever have to replace it again. I destroyed the old pulley trying to get that off, because you can see it was rusted on there, and the manufacturer didn't bother to put any of that on there. So, all right, well, let's put a little on there. I'll probably put some on the shaft too, and when I go to remove it next time, it will be a lot easier, and it will save me a lot of money. I won't have to buy another one of these.